Good morning class, welcome to your daily current affairs on paper Hindu. Let's see today's articles. Yes, the first one is about PPF, so which is your public provident fund, and Sukanya Samruddhi scheme. So these are all, if you invest something or if you save something as amount, the interest earned through that can be used later. So the Sukanya Samruddhi scheme is also the similar scheme where they will be investing on their children. That means for their girl child they will be investing in the banks. Okay, so they have certain interest rate. That means if I keep in the bank on this particular schemes, I will be getting in return some interest rate, and that interest rate actually expected to be increased this fiscal year, but it is unlikely. That means they are not going to increase the interest level. That means inflation is increasing, the interest rates is not increasing. So at the loss end, right? So that is what about this article. So the investors in the popular small saving banks, small saving schemes, public provident fund and Sukanya Samruddhi account whose rates have not been hiked since 2019. That means imagine from Jan 2019, 2020, 21, 23. So 23 Jan also run. Since 3 years there has been no hike or higher returns. So they are unlikely to get higher returns anytime soon. That is what higher or top government official has mentioned. So about Bilkis Banu case, once the case is done, then we will go through this case. Okay, every day it will be news till then. So let it be. Next. So all these are local articles, I guess. Yes. Local article. Even if that is a local article, there is one article that I wanted to tell you, that G20 summit is going to happen in Visakhapatnam on infrastructure investment something. So I will show you that, just a moment. Yes. You can see the page 1C. So infrastructure working group summit, this is going to be conducted in Visakhapatnam of Andhra Pradesh from March 28 to 30. That means from today it will start and it will last till another 2 days. So once this summit is done, we will see the outcomes too. Important for your UPSC too. Okay, next. Yes, affinity test is not a litmus test to decide caste claim. So here they are mentioning that affinity test, so this is basically done for scheduled tribes. So they will identify the anthropogenical or their anthropological and ethnological traits and deities, rituals, customs, mode of based on their customs, their traditions followed, their languages used, their gods they worship, or their death ceremonies, how they do, their marriage, all these based on their traditional affinity. So based on their traditional customs affinity, which is called affinity test, they will determine whether that particular person is from scheduled tribe or not. And currently Supreme Court has told that it is not considered as a litmus test. That means you cannot completely assure based on their traditional knowledge that that particular person belongs to scheduled caste or scheduled tribe. Currently this is about scheduled tribe only. So if an applicant is filing for affinity test, then you cannot directly use that affinity test as a sole relaying document or sole relaying outcome to decide a particular person as ST. Understood? So that is what Supreme Court has told. So it cannot be acted as a guide. So that is about this article. So they have told that affinity test cannot be a litmus test to decide the caste claim. Say Supreme Court has held a judgment, a 3-judge bench led by, so all those details not required. So they have mentioned that affinity test is not an essential part of the process of determination of a correctness of a caste or tribe claim in every case. That means it cannot be act as a determinant to a particular person claim that he belongs or she belongs to that particular scheduled tribe. So they have, in a counter argument they have mentioned that what if that particular person is well aware of the customs of that particular group or that particular tribe. Likely chances are there, no? So it cannot act as a complete reliable source. That is what Supreme Court has mentioned. Okay, go through this, important for your social justice too. So why is it important for social justice is, now for a particular person, even if he is or she is belonging to that particular scheduled tribes, if they are going for affinity test, they will not get that claim. Okay, fine. Next. So Nepal on high alert. So I was completely discussing about this particular article for you for the past days, where Amritpal is a person who is a pro-Khalistan movement leader. So his followers were being arrested, but he escaped to Nepal. That is what yesterday they found, that he has fled away to Nepal, and now the concern is that, so they've told that make sure, so our Indian government have contacted Nepal, that is Kathmandu's government, stating that make sure that he is not going to escape into third country. So let him be there and try to capture. So that's what this article entirely is about. Okay, just go through this. So Delhi informs Kathmandu that the absconding pro-Khalistan group leader could be trying to escape through the neighboring country. Nepal police sends a team to border crossing areas. So that is what they send their own troop to border crossing areas to identify his traces, so that he should not be fleeing away to some other country, and they have to capture him. Okay, next. So this is discussed. Yes, as Bihar readies for caste survey, statisticians worry about data. So Bihar is conducting caste census, again important for your population as well as social justice part. So individual state is conducting, but yeah, based on this, it should be inspiration for other states and also country as a whole to take up this particular caste based census. Okay, so it is really required now to identify which caste a particular person is belonging to. Why? For proper governance. So if at all I have to target a particular weaker section, I should be knowing what is their economical status, where are they actually residing, what is their place of residence, what are the age groups that are currently available, and concentrating of the particular concentration of age group is again requirement. All these things I have to consider when I am framing a particular law, right, particular scheme or program. As an administrator or as a legislator, I should be aware of that particular weaker section or a particular person. So definitely particular community, to be frank. So yes, so for that they are conducting this particular caste survey, but they worry about the data. So we will see this article. With the second phase of Bihar's caste based survey to be set up in April 15th, training to field enumerators is on a long swing. So they are going digital means. So here a mobile app has to be used in second phase. So initially, as you can see, they are noting it down, no? So they are going to use a mobile app which is called Bijaga, important. These terms are important, Bijaga. So which is Bihar Jati Adharit Ghanana. So Bihar Jati caste Adharit, so census. Ghanana is census, Adharit Ghanana, Jati Adharit Ghanana. So based on, Adharit is based. So caste based census, Ghanana census. Okay, fine. So is ready with 17 columns and list of 214 caste names. So around 214 castes are there. So they are trying to do it, and statisticians worried about securing the integrity of the data that are supposed to collect, and after being directed not to insist any kind of verification documents. That means self-authentication. So one cannot ask or demand for their caste certificate, but still they need to identify. So now the issue is how far that particular data given by a particular person is true. That is again a concern. Are you able to understand? So here the concern is they should not be insisting, that means they should not force that particular community or particular person for their documents. Now how far we can rely on a particular person's integrity? of stating genuinely that yes, this is, I am from this particular caste. Some people may worry, some people to showcase in a wrong way, they can take advantage of this thing, right? So yeah, that is an issue. But however, thing here what is important is not the data lapse, but this caste based census which is being conducted in Bihar. It should be taken as inspiration for other states as well as the country. Fine. Next. High Court seeks important technological intervention into judiciary. So, during pandemic, e-courts have started for the first time. So, they started doing through online. They started taking judgments through online. Okay, they started hearing pleas through online. In the same way, another step ahead in Punjab High Court. So, what happened? High Court seeks ChatGPT's response on bail plea. That means we will not go into the case, but overall we will see, because as far as for your exam is concerned, till that only we will be discussing. So, let us see. As the usage of artificial intelligence continues to grow globally, the Punjab and Haryana High Court, in its first of its kind attempt, sought a response from ChatGPT, an AI bot, to assess the worldwide view on bail when the assault was laced with cruelty. That means what this particular court has done is that it has used this ChatGPT. So, we know that ChatGPT is something which is based on AI. If you pose questions, it will be giving you certain answers. However, we have seen the negatives of this ChatGPT, that its data is being not so reliable. So, data is not precise. So, it can be manipulated, and ethics or the code of ethics for ChatGPT is yet to be developed. That means for AI is yet to be properly developed. All these things are negatives. However, in the positive end, now this High Court of Punjab and Haryana have asked for the help of ChatGPT on bail jurisprudence. So, which is how far issuing of bail is correct when a particular crime is involved with cruelty. That means if heinous crimes are being committed like murder, assault or rape, so some heinous crimes if they are being committed, then should we be giving them bail? In that question, High Court of Punjab and Haryana have sought out ChatGPT. Let us see its response. So, the question was put forward. So, what was the question that has been posed to ChatGPT? What is jurisprudence? So, jurisprudence in this is how far it is agreeable. Okay. So, what is the law? Law or justification for that particular act. So, what is the jurisprudence on bail when the assailants assaulted with cruelty? That means, if a particular person is committing a crime, if it is involving with huge cruelty, then how far a bail jurisprudence can be acceptable. So, how far it is acceptable to give a bail. So, ChatGPT responded in this way. Jurisprudence on bail for cases where the assailants have assaulted with a cruelty will depend on the specific circumstances of the case and the laws of the laws and regulations of the jurisdiction where the case is being tried. So, first response which he has given, not first response, part of the first response it has mentioned that, of course. So, the bail jurisprudence is purely dependent on rules and regulations or the jurisdiction of that particular crime conducted. That means, if it is conducted in India, then that jurisdiction has its own law of land. So, based on that, it will completely rely on where the case is being tried. So, if it is trying, the case is under trial in India, then definitely the law of land will take place. So, its own jurisdiction will take place. However, in general, if the assailants have been charged with a violent crime that involves cruelty such as murder, aggravated assault or torture, they may be considered a danger to the community and a flight risk. In such cases, the judge may be less inclined to grant bail or may set the bail amount very high to ensure that the defendant appears in court and does not pose a risk to public safety. So, what ChatGPT has mentioned is, yes, at the end it depends on the law of the land. However, if that particular person is committing an act with utmost cruelty, then definitely being in the position of a judge will be less inclined. That means he will not be or she will not be giving you bail. Are you able to understand? So, giving bail is unlikely for cruel crimes. That is what ChatGPT has mentioned. Okay, fine. And why? The reason it has mentioned that, of course, that particular person has committed a crime at utmost cruelty, then definitely he or she will be threatened to or threatening to society, to community. Then how can we let that particular person free? That is what it has mentioned. Okay, so important. Technological intervention is really important. Next. So another thing that I am not going to explain, but simple thing is that Supreme Court is going to hear a plea against Agnipath scheme on April 10th. So once the plea is heard, then we will see the details. Next. Yes. Amid protests, financial bill approved in the houses. So we know that in the first working day of February, budget has been introduced. So on the last working day, just before the last working day of January, just before the day of your budget being placed in the parliament, then you will be having your economic survey. Immediately, the first working day of your February will have your budget session, right? And that has come to an end by approval of financial bill. So we will see the budget procedure in gist form, and I have uploaded that particular document in Telegram channel. So if you want in detail, you can go through that particular document. I will just be giving you a gist out of the document. Let me see. Yes. So I hope this is visible. So budget procedure is something which is present. Budget is like it should be presented in parliament on the first working day. It's not the first day of February. On the first working day of February at 11 AM currently. So the general budget is presented in Lok Sabha by Finance Minister. So current Finance Minister is Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. So she had presented this budget currently in Parliament, in Lok Sabha to be precise, and makes a budget speech. So currently what are the procedures that is actually involved for your budget to be completed, complete budget procedure to be completed. Okay, first one, annual financial statement. Next, so these are all followed by, initially you will be having your budget speech. First, these are all the documents first they will be releasing, and we will see the procedure. So first document is budget speech by Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman. Following that, which you will be having your annual financial statement. Next, demand for grants, appropriation bill, finance bill. So all these are the documents that are being presented in Parliament, which will be available for us too. So if you go to India Budget website, India Budget, if you type India Budget, the first website that you get into is your official website, where you can get all these documents. Now we will see how the discussion goes. Initially, budget presentation. So budget will be presented first. So on the day of budget, nothing will be discussed. So only Finance Minister will be explaining about what are the highlights of that particular budget being placed, how much is the expected expenditure, how much is the expected revenue, what are the schemes that they are focusing upon, how India is going to be in the next fiscal year, in the upcoming fiscal year. That is what they will be mentioning there. Next, general discussion will be there. So this is the next session, followed by your budget presentation. Next, houses will be adjourned. So for a few days after after general discussion, house will be adjourned. Next, voting on demand for grants. So whatever the amount or whatever the schemes that they are placing it, for each particular ministry, each particular department, they will be placing up this voting on demand for grants. So we need this much amount, so we will put on vote. So there will be policy cuts or any kind of cut motions if they are not interested. So all these things will be discussed in demand for grant session. Next, it will go to your appropriation bill, and at the end it will end with financial bill. So your appropriation bill and financial bill. So I am not going to deep. I told you I will be uploading. I have already uploaded this in the Telegram channel. So just go through this. This will suffice. So yeah, after voting on demand for grants is over, government introduces appropriation bill as part of Article 114 of the Constitution. So appropriation bill and financial bill, also your annual financial statement, have constitutional backup. So this is through Article 114 of the Indian Constitution, and the appropriation bill is intended to give authority to the government to incur expenditure and meet grants from and out of Consolidated Fund of India. So what is this appropriation bill? Whatever the expenditure that they have mentioned through budget, they are trying to take that money from Consolidated Fund of India. For that they need approval. So that is given through appropriation bill through Article 114. Okay. Next, coming to your finance bills, and one thing that you need to know that appropriation bill and your finance bill both are money bills, which means that Lok Sabha has its take on than Rajya Sabha. So Lok Sabha powers is more than Rajya Sabha in case of money bills. So Rajya Sabha is only place where they will just discuss about it and nothing inputs will be taken. Even if they give inputs, that is not a constraint on Lok Sabha to accept. Okay. Fine. So financial bill, Article 1110. So this will give effect to the government's taxation proposal. So whatever the taxation proposals, which is revenue receipts. Okay, receipts. So whatever the revenue that government is going to get, so on this proposals is given or introduced into Lok Sabha immediately after the presentation of general budget on the same day, but is taken up for discussion and passing of the appropriation bill is passed. So initially financial bill will be introduced during budget session only, like budget speech only, but later on further the discussion will be happening after the passage of appropriation bill. So current article which is mentioned showcases that yesterday your finance bill has been passed in Lok Sabha amid protest. That means the last procedure of your budget for this fiscal year has been done. So what is the date today? 28th. So 27th your Feb 1st, first week Feb 1st has been, so first working day of Feb your budget has been introduced, and see when the last procedure has ended. On March 27th the procedure has been ended. That you need to know. All these discussions, debates, everything will be happening here, right? So yeah, introduced in the Lok Sabha. So all these things, and this finance bill has to be passed within 75 days of the introduction. That is why they will be passing it after, they will be introducing with budget, and before the end of 75 days they have to pass this. Okay. So that is about this article. So rest all you can just go through this, nothing more is required. Next. So yes, amid protests, that is what they have passed it. Okay. This is entirely about the article. So government on Monday completed its budgetary exercise on 23-24 with both House of Parliament approving finance bill. So there ends your budget procedure, where both houses have approved for this finance bill, along with a fresh amendment introduced in the by Union Finance Minister to rectify an error in STT rates on option contracts in the earlier version of the bill. So at the end, first initially they will be giving certain speculations, right? Yes, this we are going to expenditure. This is the speculated expenditure, expected expenditure, and these are the revenues that we are expecting, and this is the taxation. Everything will be discussed. So in that, if there are any changes or rectifications, they will be completing it before the approval of financial bill. So that is what this STT, Securities Transaction Tax rate. I have already discussed yesterday about that. So SEBI will be authority for this, and it has increased this for options and futures to 25%, that I have discussed already. So this revisions has been done, and later on financial bill has been passed. Okay. So that is about this article. Next. This is also very important as part of NEP policy, governance, education, weaker sections, everything important. So students to get new textbooks from NCERT after a long gap of nearly 20 years. So after 20 years span, after 2 decades of span, students are going to get their new form of textbooks for NCERT, right? So for every UPSC aspirants who are preparing for UPSC or APPSC, whatever the state PSCs, so your main focus will be on NCERTs. Now these NCERTs are going to be changed as in line with NEP policy 2020, National Educational Policy 2020, right? So Education Ministry officials say the books based on the NEP 2020 will include attention to the playway method of teaching as well as develop problem solving abilities and improve the social and economic capabilities of children. So what is their focus on about? To improve the status of children socially and economically. Okay, fine. So here the thing which is important is that this NCERT has been developed material feed into the playway method of teaching. So what is the way that they're developing this particular material? In a playway way of teaching, that means playful learning. Okay, so which is called Jadu Pitara, which means magic box. So that is what that they're naming it uniquely. Okay, so they followed this 5-step learning process in the book. So textbook framing is in the form of 5-step mode learning. That means 5-step learning process. What is this? Or this 5-step learning is also called as Panchadi or Panchadi. Okay, so what does it contain? This is for preschool level or foundation level courses. Okay, so that is like during primary sessions. So Panchadi comprises of Aditi, which is introduction of topic. So starting it will be having introduction of topic, which is called Aditi. Next Bodh, which is conceptual understanding, which is Bodh. Then Abhyas, which is practice. Then Prayag, which is application, and Prasar, which is expansion. So this is the Panchadi technique which they are using as a 5-step learning procedure to make this book available for preschool teaching. So playful way of teaching. Okay, magic box, which is Jadu Pitara, then your 5-step mode of practice or 5-step learning procedure, which is your Panchadi. That's all. Okay, fine. Next. S&P expects RBI to increase rates that are already high. So from initial days, like since there is a global slowdown which we are witnessing recently, since then there is one news continuously coming that finance minister or through RBI officials, it is clearly mentioned that our growth is stabilizing. So we are in growth. So our growth is mainly because of domestic demand only. It's not because of global situations, because we are not, even if the globally if we are witnessing this slowdown, still we are able to witness high growth. That is what our officials from RBI finance minister have been completely mentioning. Now S&P Global is something which is a rating giving institute. So it will be giving you rating economically. So economic ratings about particular country they will be giving you. So it showcases the economic stability of a particular country. So it has revised that. So S&P Global ratings on Monday retained 23-24 GDP growth projection for India at 6%. So it has mentioned that India's growth rate prediction will be 6% only. So it hasn't revised anything, but it has revised China from 4.8% to 5.5% growth in their GDP. So in that case, they have mentioned that India has become more sensitive. So despite there is a domestic demand, we agree that there is domestic demand growing with which the India is actually growing. Still, India has become sensitive to the global cycle lately, in part due to rising commodity exports. Next. Okay, so next article. So here another update about this is that India's consumer price index inflation should moderate to 5% from an average of 6.8%. Okay, so they have told that currently we are having an average. I have already told that we had retail inflation hiking up. So it is going beyond our inflation targeting technique. So targeting of 6%, so it is currently maintained at 6.8, and now they have mentioned that through CPI 5% it should be moderated. So WPI, which is not WPI, Consumer Price Index, should be moderated to 5%. So that is what they are mentioned. Okay. Next. So they have mentioned that yes, currently because of this global issues, India is become sensitive. Since India is becoming sensitive, that is what they have mentioned. That is why we haven't increased. Still, you can increase or higher your policy rates. So whatever the policy rates that we are following here, those rates of RBI can be increased. That is what suggestion given by S&P. Okay. Next, S&P global ratings. Next. Funds spent on preservation of monuments and sites. So 340 crore is the amount, that is 340 crore, 340.92 crore by Culture Ministry. Kishan Reddy informed Parliament about the funds that has been used on 3,696 centrally sponsored schemes, centrally protected monuments and sites during last 4 years. That means in the last 4 years, the culturally protected sites, whatever the central is protecting the monuments or any other sites, on this the invested amount is totally 340 crore, around 340 crore. Who has told? Ministry of Culture has told, rest are not required. Next. So yesterday I have mentioned about this disqualification of MP clearly. So I am not going into this article, but however I have given this in your Telegram channel, so you can just go through what is important in this. Okay. So I have already mentioned about this section 8 of your RPI Act, everything I have mentioned, so you can just go through it. Nothing more than that. Whatever I have mentioned yesterday is everything again repeated here, so I am not going to repeating this particular thing. So that's it for today. Yes. So that's it for today. We will meet in next session of your current affairs. Thank you for the session. Good day.